It's that time. Harvest.
You
It's
guys,
harvest
everyone
time.
wants me to cry today. No way. Oh.
Have you ever witnessed a basketball star tear up over someone else's triumph? Well, A'ja Wilson just did. The WNBA champion was seen in tears, but not for the reasons you'd expect. It's all in response to Caitlin Clark's emotional jersey retirement announcement.
I was like in tears, y'all.
You might be asking, what's all the fuss about? Don't players have their jerseys retired all the time? Well, not like this. Caitlin Clark's retirement ceremony is already setting records before it's even happened. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson's fans are crying foul, suggesting Iowa orchestrated this to steal the spotlight. But what spotlight? Iowa likely didn't even know when South Carolina planned Wilson's ceremony, especially since she graduated nearly a decade ago. We've got the facts, the timeline, and fan reactions that tell a different story. Let's break down why Wilson's tears are flowing and how Clark is once again changing the game for women's basketball. February 2nd, 2025. Don't forget that date, because it's about to become legendary in women's basketball. 2 players, 2 jersey retirements, but only one is stealing the spotlight like a supernova. Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson, both revolutionizing women's basketball in their own ways, are set to have their jerseys retired on the same day. But that's where the comparison ends. Clark's ceremony at Iowa is generating a buzz that's completely overshadowing Wilson's South Carolina event.
Iowa taking on USC and Juju Watkins. Nationally televised game, I believe. February 2nd, 2-2, so it's 22. Everything about it lines up.
Let's talk numbers because they're crazy. The cheapest ticket to see Clark's jersey rise to the rafters is over $700, which is the most expensive ticket in women's basketball history. For some perspective, this price tag is even steeper than the cheapest ticket to an NBA Finals game. And if you're aiming for the best seats in the house, you'd better have a thick wallet, with tickets going for over $8,000. Meanwhile, you can catch a seat at Wilson's ceremony for just $25. No, that's not a typo. We're talking about a price difference more than 28 times higher for Clark's event.
But that is a supply and demand thing, especially in today's day and age where there's no such thing as a sellout, right? Where you can go to any event you want as long as you're willing to pay for it because of the secondary ticket market.
Social media is blowing up with reactions. This isn't just about ticket prices. It's a game-changing moment for women's basketball. The demand we're seeing now was unimaginable just a few years ago. Clark's final home game shattered records with tickets reaching $450. But now that feels like pocket change compared to her retirement ceremony. What's unfolding here is Clark reshaping the entire landscape of women's basketball. She's not just rewriting the record books on the court, she's breaking barriers off it. Clark has become a cultural icon, drawing in fans who might have never tuned into a women's basketball game before.
I'm leading scorer in women's college basketball.
But wait, there's more. This story is far from over. What does Wilson and her team have to say about this, you may ask?
One of the sentiments that was expressed was, oh, it's the same day as A'ja Wilson's. How could you do? First of all, I remember them announcing A'ja Wilson was getting her jersey retired, but I didn't remember the date or anything. When the Clark news broke, I didn't think about A'ja Wilson. And again, as is the case with Caitlin Clark, this only is going to bring more attention to A'ja Wilson's jersey retirement.
As ticket prices for Clark's ceremony soared, another kind of inflation was taking over: online outrage. A'ja Wilson's fans aren't just upset, they're convinced a conspiracy is at play. But what if the real story is even more explosive than they think? The social media storm ignited with Wilson's supporters crying foul over the timing of Clark's jersey retirement. One fan didn't hold back, tweeting, "Why would y'all retire her jersey on the same day as A'ja Wilson? Are y'all stupid?" This sentiment echoed across social media, with Wilson's fan base feeling like their star was being overshadowed by the Clark phenomenon. But here's where it gets interesting. The timeline of these announcements tells a different story. Iowa didn't just pull Clark's jersey retirement out of thin air. They revealed their plans back on April 11th, 2024, right after the NCAA championship game.
And yes, Clark did get a standing ovation when Iowa's athletics director announced that the university will retire her number 22
that
jersey.
That number holds a lot of weight, far beyond my name, and I guess I'm just really grateful, and it'll be a special day when that happens for sure. Thank you. It's been very special, and this place will always be home to me.
South Carolina didn't unveil their plans for Wilson's jersey retirement until October 2024. 6 months later, folks. Wilson's fans are saying they're not Clark fans, so why should they care about Iowa stealing the spotlight with their announcement? Why can't both players be honored on the same day?
First of all, there's nothing wrong with two schools retiring respective jerseys on the same day. But secondly, if you wanted the focus to be on A'ja Wilson, she'll probably get more attention as the second, most recognized jersey retirement of that day than she would have if she had the stage all to herself on that.
So why are Wilson's fans so certain that Iowa is trying to steal South Carolina's thunder? It all boils down to the meteoric rise of Clark's popularity. Iowa's athletic director, Beth Gutz, put it bluntly, Clark's accomplishments have made a lasting impact on the university and on women's basketball. They weren't responding to Wilson's announcement. They were celebrating their own superstar. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why did it take South Carolina so long to honor Wilson? One fan pointed out the obvious. Why did it take a decade for South Carolina to retire A'ja's number? How is that Iowa's problem? It's a fair question. Wilson graduated in 2018, yet it's taken until 2025 for her alma mater to retire her jersey. That's not on Iowa, that's on South Carolina.
And South Carolina waited years and years to retire A'ja's jersey.
The conspiracy theories are running wild, with some of Wilson's supporters convinced that Iowa deliberately picked this date to overshadow A'ja's moment. But let's think this through. Iowa chose a date that aligns with a high-profile game against USC, featuring rising star Juju Watkins, which was already set to be nationally televised. Plus, Clark's jersey has been hanging in Carver Hawkeye Arena for months. Everyone knew it was coming. How could Iowa possibly know when A'ja's retirement ceremony was planned? No one even knew about it until Clark made her announcement. This isn't about stealing anyone's spotlight. It's about maximizing exposure for women's basketball as a whole.
And then there was, Iowa is rushing this. They're rushing, or everything is rushed with Caitlin Clark. No, she just did things faster and garnered more attention and more notoriety and celebrity and celebration and popularity.
Here's what's hilarious. Some fans are actually asking for Wilson to move her date. One tweet put it bluntly, "Tell A'ja to move her date." Then the face of the WNBA is retiring hers. Show some respect. It's a stark reminder of how quickly the landscape of women's basketball is evolving. So what's really happening here? Is this about disrespect? Or is it simply a changing of the guard in women's basketball? The facts don't back up the conspiracy theories. Iowa's plans were in place long before Wilson's announcement, and they're just capitalizing on Clark's massive popularity. But here's the twist. There might be more to A'ja's reaction than just the jersey retirement itself. Is this truly about the ceremony, or could it be a deeper feeling of jealousy?
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Caitlin Clark just became the first WNBA player to claim Time's Athlete of the Year. But not everyone is joining the celebration. It's become increasingly clear she has her share of haters, from Cheryl Swoops, Aja Wilson, to Nalissa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and sadly, the list doesn't end there.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
In a twist that's both startling and yet oddly predictable, Cheryl Swoops, four-time WNBA champion and now Clark's most outspoken critic, had plenty to say about the athlete's recent win. In today's segment, we'll break down the controversy, examine the backlash, and uncover the unexpected way Clark is handling it all. While Clark had the perfect moment to fire back, she chose a different route, leaving everyone utterly speechless. Here's why her response is a masterclass in grace and leadership.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Imagine this: Caitlin Clark riding high after earning Time Athlete of the Year. Yet not everyone's raising a glass. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA superstar turned unforeseen critic, stirring up drama on the Gills Arena podcast.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Rather than praising Clark, Swoops launches into a full-on tirade, openly challenging the very standards used to grant Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," she says, her voice laced with disbelief. And she doesn't stop there. Swoops rattles off a list of other contenders she believes should have earned the honor instead. The whole thing feels like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts alike puzzled and asking what's really at play.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, athletes of this year,
yeah,
it's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you can put
in
Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
As we delve further into Swoops' remarks, a pattern starts to form. This isn't her first time taking aim at Clark. When Clark shattered the NCAA scoring record, Swoops was quick to downplay it, questioning whether the accomplishment was all that remarkable given how much the game has evolved since the original milestone was set.
Put Aja Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? I think it's everything.
Yeah,
it's everything.
What about Wilson? She demands, leaving everyone listening in stunned silence. Is this just a careless slip, or is there something more simmering beneath the surface? Swoops' outburst lays bare a deeper struggle. It's not only about Clark now, it's the old guard facing off against the new era, tradition clashing with the future of women's basketball. Once the sport's leading figure, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark captivates a whole new generation of fans.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And, sometimes, just as athletes, we are competitive by nature. And, we don't like We don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
The basketball world is left stunned. Swoops, once a beacon of inspiration for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and disconnected. Her remarks ignite intense debates online, with fans and players alike taking sides. Yet here's the ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only intensifies. Her record-breaking performances and swelling fan base speak volumes. The contrast is glaring. One athlete clinging to the past, the other blazing a trail into the future of women's basketball.
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest, so didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
How does Clark tackle this sudden wave of criticism? Does she lash out, stoking the flames? Or does she remain poised under pressure? Her approach to this conflict won't just shape her legacy, it could help reshape the entire landscape of women's basketball. Buckle up, because Clark is about to reveal the depths of her character.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them, so just really fortunate.
Remember when we said Clark was about to show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Award controversy isn't just surprising, it's genuinely groundbreaking. She's redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoops cast doubt, Clark continues to smash records and win over fans' hearts. How does she handle the criticism? Does she shoot back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road, and that choice has everyone talking.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last two and a half years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
In her Time interview, Clark doesn't merely shrug off the controversy. She faces it head on with a level of maturity that's capturing everyone's attention. Caitlin Clark's rise to stardom has been accompanied by a refreshing sense of self-awareness.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes a point of recognizing the legends who laid the groundwork for her success. And guess who she gives credit to? Cheryl Swoops herself. It's a move that proves Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court. She's a class act off it as well.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
Clark's reply? It's more than simply rising above the fray. It's a masterclass in handling criticism with grace, transforming a potentially negative moment into something uplifting. She's not just standing up for her own achievements, she's raising the bar for the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
The contrast between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be more stark. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just winning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most impactful way possible. Don't mistake Clark's kindness for weakness, though. Her words carry real weight, and her actions speak volumes. She's showing that you don't have to tear others down to elevate yourself. In fact, by paying tribute to those who came before her, Clark is securing her own legacy in basketball history.
Know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
As the controversy fades, one truth stands out. Clark's handling of the situation has transformed what could have been a divisive episode into a moment of unity for women's basketball. She's demonstrated that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has paved the way for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to this display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to roll in, and they may just surprise you.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years, so I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Clark's triumph and Swoop's critique didn't just grab headlines. They sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball landscape. Opinions are swirling at lightning speed, faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants their say. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a whole army of supporters has turned up. Fans are flooding social media with admiration for the rising star, applauding her poise under pressure and calling out Swoops for what they view as a bitter backlash. As one fan tweeted, Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoops could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
How will all this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might heap extra pressure on her next season. Others argue it's only adding fuel to her competitive fire, potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's what nobody can dispute. Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher. Even viewers who've never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't merely a player, she's a phenomenon. And she's redefining the landscape of the sport.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and you know, I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's going to go, and you know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful, maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game. While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response, acknowledging the greats who came before her, even Cheryl Swoops, has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court, making time for fans and remembering what it's like to be the kid in the crowd, resonates on a personal level. This isn't just about Clark and swoops, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the WNBA. She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports command center stage and future players dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players, that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate Black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are two things happening here. First, Clark is crediting Black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that Black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after enduring a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market. Did you hear the latest uproar in the WNBA? Diana Taurasi, one of the league's all-time greats, is openly furious about being compared to rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. Taurasi believes that as a seasoned veteran, she deserves more respect and recognition, pushing back against claims that Clark is outperforming her. Taurasi, who has consistently been a cornerstone of the Phoenix Mercury, feels that the comparisons are undermining her legacy. "I've dedicated my life to this game," Taurasi stated in a recent interview. "Being compared to a rookie who's just starting her journey isn't fair. I deserve better recognition for my years of hard work and achievements." But let's talk numbers. Caitlin Clark has been nothing short of phenomenal this past season. She's averaged 22 points per game, leading the league in assists with 9.5 per game, and boasts a three-point shooting percentage of 40%. In contrast, Taurasi averaged 18 points, 5 assists, and shooting 35% from beyond the arc. Clark also holds the record for the most assists in a single season, showcasing her playmaking prowess that has transformed the Indiana Fever into one of the top teams in the league. Clark's impact goes beyond just the stats. She's revitalized the Fever, turning a struggling team into playoff contenders with her leadership and dynamic play. While Taurasi has been a consistent performer, Clark's explosive performances have captured the spotlight, leading many to argue that she's the more valuable player this season. Taurasi's frustration is understandable. After over 2 decades in the league, she's amassed 5 WNBA championships, 2 MVP awards, and countless accolades. Yet, in the eyes of some fans and analysts, a rookie is already outshining her. This has sparked a heated debate about the criteria for valuing veteran players versus rising stars. Critics of the comparisons point out that Clark's all-around game and statistical dominance make her a strong MVP contender. However, supporters of Taurasi argue that experience, leadership, and clutch performances in high-stakes games are just as important, if not more so, than raw statistics. The controversy reached its peak when Taurasi confronted the narrative head-on. "Comparing me to Caitlin is like comparing apples to oranges," she said. "Experience and consistency matter. Caitlin is incredible, but she's still learning. I've been here, building this league, and I expect to be treated with the respect that comes with that." Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continues to excel, proving that her rookie season is one for the history books. Her ability to score, distribute, and make game-winning plays has earned her a legion of fans and a prominent spot in MVP discussions. As the season progresses, the rivalry between Taurasi and Clark highlights the evolving dynamics of the WNBA, where veterans and rookies alike are pushing each other to new heights. The debate isn't just about who has better stats, it's about what makes a player truly valuable. Is it the ability to dominate the scoreboard, the knack for making teammates better, or the experience to lead a team through tough times? Taurasi and Clark represent different facets of greatness, and their comparison raises important questions about how we honor and recognize talent in the league. As the WNBA season heats up, all eyes are on Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark. Taurasi's call for better treatment of veterans and Clark's undeniable rise are shaping the conversation around player value and legacy. Whether you side with Taurasi's experience or Clark's impressive stats, one thing is clear: the future of the WNBA is bright, with both legends and rising stars driving the game forward. What do you think? Should veteran experience weigh more heavily in MVP considerations? Or should outstanding rookie performances like Caitlin Clark's take center stage?
The reality is that, as far from a marketing perspective, Caitlin Clark is worth more than almost any pro basketball player in the world, if we're like purely talking about giving the money for endorsement deals.
Today, we're diving into the real story behind Caitlin Clark's wealth. Her WNBA salary? Just the tip of the iceberg. Discover how she's cashing in big with speaking gigs that outpace her on-court earnings. The game-changing impact of her endorsements with State Farm and Wilson, and why her Nike deal could spark some serious drama. Let's break it all down.
Which was mental. Which was absolutely mental.
Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Caitlin Clark is poised to become the next powerhouse in sports marketing, and why some top brands might be kicking themselves for not jumping on board sooner.
Higher than the NBA. So I was like, oh, what's she gonna get paid? Because finally, you can get a real paycheck. And then I saw it, and I was like, this can't be right, because this is what it is. In the first year, Caitlin Clark will earn $76,535.
Can you believe that Caitlin Clark, the basketball sensation electrifying the courts, is set to earn a mere $76,535 in her rookie WNBA season? That's less than many entry-level office positions. When compared to NBA salaries, the disparity is glaring, leading many to argue that players like Clark are being undervalued by the league. However, this modest salary doesn't tell the whole story. Let's explore why Clark isn't losing sleep over her WNBA paycheck. While $70,000 might not scream superstar salary, it's actually just the beginning of Caitlin Clark's financial story. Here's the twist. The WNBA isn't just a paycheck, It's her secret weapon. The league offers something far more valuable than money: visibility. Think about it. Every time Clark steps onto the court, millions tune in. Her games dominate national broadcasts. Her highlight reels flood social media, and her name is on everyone's radar. This kind of exposure is a goldmine for marketing opportunities, turning her platform into a multi-million-dollar springboard.
Like, whatever really happens with Caitlin Clark, I would say her big thing is to be ready for the WNBA season. And people are like, why? She's only making $70,000 in the WNBA. What is the point of her worrying about that league rather than trying to push for other leagues and other ways of making more money? Because the WNBA is what's getting the most eyes.
Think about it. When Caitlin Clark sinks a deep three-pointer or threads an impossible pass, you're witnessing more than just incredible basketball. You're watching a brand come to life. Every crossover, every jaw-dropping assist, every buzzer beater isn't just a highlight. It's another opportunity for Clark to show the world her magic. And trust me, the world is paying attention. So, how is Clark turning all this visibility into cash? That's where it gets really exciting. Her modest WNBA salary is just the beginning, opening the floodgates to a slew of opportunities off the court. We're talking about endorsement deals, speaking gigs, and partnerships that could eclipse her league earnings many times over. And then there's the game changer, the Unrivaled League.
And it has also been reported that Unrivaled 3-on-3 League offered Caitlin Clark significant equity in the league and a salary that is over $1 million. So this is the first time that we've heard of any money being thrown at her. We've heard that it would be a major deal. It would be a similar setup as to what Messi got.
You've probably heard the buzz. Some people are saying Clark should ditch the WNBA and join Unrivaled, where she could be raking in millions from the start. But here's the kicker. Clark turned it down. Clark's playing the long game here. Sure, Unrivaled might offer a fatter paycheck right out of the gate, but the WNBA provides something Unrivaled can't touch yet: a proven platform with a loyal fan base and major media deals that guarantee her visibility on a national scale. So, next time someone complains about Caitlin Clark's $70,000 WNBA salary, remember this: it's just the tip of the iceberg. Clark isn't just dominating the court, she's rewriting the playbook on how athletes build their brands. And trust me, this is only the beginning of what she's capable of. Clark's most valuable skill might not even be her basketball prowess, it's her ability to talk. But we're not talking about post-game interviews. No, Clark is raking in six figures for speaking engagements that take less time than a single quarter of basketball.
I think she's either one, if she shows up to somewhere, you're probably paying her $2,000 to $3,000 or $200,000 to $300,000, or it's free. I think she probably does a lot of things for free. That would be my prediction, is that if she wants to be somewhere and she just wants to help out, she'll do quite a few things for free. But if she's not doing it for free, I would say her cost is crazy high.
You heard that right. Caitlin Clark is absolutely dominating on stage 2. Her speaking engagements are becoming the stuff of legend, and the numbers are jaw-dropping. Let's break it down. Clark's virtual speaking fee kicks off at $100,000 for just 30 minutes of her time. In less time than it takes to watch half an episode of a sitcom, she's earning more than most people make in an entire year. And for in-person appearances, companies are shelling out anywhere between $200,000 and $300,000. That's the price of a house in some parts of the country for just one appearance. Clark has already done at least 6 speaking engagements in the past year alone. Do the math, and you're looking at potential earnings in the millions. And it's not just in-person events. These gigs are happening online too, with big-name companies ready to pay top dollar for her words. But why are companies willing to shell out so much just to hear Clark speak? It all comes down to her star power. Every time Clark steps onto the WNBA court, her profile gets bigger. She's not just an athlete, she's a brand. an inspiration, a role model. Companies aren't just paying for her time, they're paying for the attention she commands, the excitement she stirs, and the influence she holds.